A profound mystery surrounds the history of one of humanity's most emblematic events, the resurrection of Jesus. Imagine an ancient book hidden in the shadows of time that contains surprising revelations, capable of rewriting everything we know. This manuscript, banned by the Vatican, promises to uncover hidden secrets and shed light on the fateful days that followed the crucifixion. What does it reveal that the New Testament did not tell? Why did the Church decide to silence this story? The answers can be more impactful than you imagine. While many believe they know the truth, a new look at these accounts could transform the faith and understanding of millions. This forbidden text is not just a historical curiosity. It is a key piece that could alter the Christian narrative as a whole. What if what we think we know about the resurrection is incomplete? Get ready to dive into a universe of questions and revelations that defy logic and tradition. Every minute, new connections emerge and what seemed clear becomes cloudy. This is an invitation to explore the unknown and open your mind to a new reality. Recently, a book banned for centuries was discovered, and this revelation is causing a stir among scholars and religious people. The manuscript, which dates back to a time when the Church had strict control over what could and could not be published, raises intriguing questions about its origin and content. This book, apparently written by an unknown author, is considered a work that could offer a new perspective on fundamental events in the Christian faith. The content of the manuscript presents not only an alternative narrative, but also a different view of Jesus' resurrection. It was written at a time when Christianity was taking hold and spreading throughout the world, and different interpretations were more common than one might imagine. The details contained in the book can help us better understand the religious tensions and debates of that time. Scholars are particularly interested in who might have written the manuscript and why. Some theories suggest that the author could have been a member of a dissident Christian sect, which sought to distance itself from the official church narrative. This raises questions about the diversity of thought that existed among early Christians and how this diversity was silenced over time. Furthermore, the manuscript brings to light characters that do not appear in the canonical narratives, which makes its reading even more fascinating. These new characters can offer insights into the culture and society of the time, revealing how the stories of Jesus were shaped by local contexts and different traditions. The discovery of this banned book not only piques the curiosity of scholars, but also provokes reflections on the history of Christianity. What else could be hidden in documents that the Church has decided to keep out of public view? This question has reverberated throughout the centuries and continues to instigate debates about the truth in religious narratives. When we compare the discovered manuscript with the canonical Gospels, the differences in the resurrection narrative are evident. While the traditional Gospels present a fairly linear story, the new text offers a more complex and multifaceted approach. This leads to a series of new interpretations that can challenge the established view of events. One of the points that stands out most are the new characters that appear in the manuscript. They bring with them stories and experiences that are not mentioned in the Gospels. This may suggest that there were a variety of oral and written traditions about the resurrection that were not incorporated into the New Testament. The addition of these characters can enrich the understanding of how the resurrection was perceived by different groups. Furthermore, the manuscript presents events that are not in the canonical accounts, such as dialogues and interactions between Jesus and his disciples, that offer a new dimension to the understanding of the resurrection. These details can change the way Christians relate to the central story of faith, bringing new emotional and spiritual depth. Interpretations of certain events also vary greatly between the manuscript and the Gospels. While the canonical texts emphasize the resurrection as a divine miracle, the new manuscript may suggest a more human and relational interpretation, inviting readers to reflect on the emotional experiences of the disciples and others involved. These divergences not only instigate academic debates but also generate discussions among the faithful. Many people wonder how these new narratives can coexist with their established beliefs and traditions. The manuscript may therefore open space for a reassessment of the stories that shape Christian faith. The censorship of the banned manuscript did not happen by chance. Religious institutions, especially the Vatican, were very concerned about what that book could mean for the Christian faith. The idea that new resurrection narratives could emerge and in some ways challenge traditional interpretation was a nightmare for church leaders. They feared that releasing these new details would confuse the faithful and create divisions within the Christian community. Furthermore, the content of the manuscript raised theological issues that could undermine the authority of the church. For religious leaders, the resurrection of Christ is one of the pillars of faith. If this manuscript presented a different version, it could lead believers to question the veracity of established doctrines. The possibility of a new understanding of the resurrection could thus weaken not only popular belief, but also the power structure of the church itself. Politically, censorship also had a clear motivation. Throughout history, the church has always sought to maintain control over the interpretation of Scripture. The possibility that an alternative text would gain popularity and challenge the official narrative was something that could not be ignored. The Vatican, in particular, had a history of silencing voices that could threaten its influence, and this manuscript fit perfectly into that context. We cannot forget that the culture of the time in which the manuscript was written also influenced the decision to censor it. The emergence of Christianity was not a simple process, and there were many groups competing for followers. The church needed to establish a clear and cohesive narrative to secure its dominant position. The manuscript, by bringing new ideas to light, could confuse the foundations of this narrative. Thus, a combination of theological, political, and cultural reasons made the Vatican and other religious institutions decide to ban the manuscript. The concern with maintaining the unity and authority of the Church was, without a doubt, a determining factor in this decision. The revelation of new details about the resurrection, such as those contained in the manuscript, could provoke a revolution in Christian theology. This is because the resurrection is one of the foundations of the Christian faith, and any new interpretation can lead to a re-evaluation of basic concepts. For example, if the manuscript proposed that the resurrection was not a one-time event, but rather part of an ongoing process, this could change the way Christians understand the afterlife. Furthermore, the introduction of new characters and events could enrich the resurrection narrative. This could lead to a deeper discussion about the meaning of faith and the role of different figures in Christian history. Theologians could be forced to consider this new information and integrate it into their understanding, which could result in a more plural and inclusive theology. The manuscript's influence will also extend to debates about the nature of Christ. If the book offers an alternative view of his divinity or humanity, it could spark heated discussions among scholars and religious leaders. The interpretation of who Jesus is and what his role in salvation is could be profoundly affected, leading to the need for new catechesis and teachings. Furthermore, the discovery of the manuscript could encourage a new wave of biblical studies. Theologians and scholars would be motivated to re-examine ancient texts in light of new information, which could result in new translations and interpretations of Scripture. This re-evaluation could, in turn, impact the way people connect with their faith. The revelation of the manuscript could create a space for a more open dialogue between different Christian denominations. When new information emerges, communities are often forced to reconsider their positions. This could promote greater collaboration between the various traditions within Christianity, leading to a deeper and more respectful understanding between different faith groups. The discovery of the prohibited manuscript generated a wave of reactions among scholars and theologians. Many scholars were quick to analyze the book's contents, comparing it to the canonical Gospels. This analysis sparked heated debates in academic communities, where experts in theology, history, and literature began to question the authenticity and relevance of the manuscript. Some scholars saw it as an opportunity to re-evaluate the resurrection story, while others saw it as a threat to established tradition. On social media, the topic gained new life. Influencers and discussion groups began sharing excerpts and interpretations of the manuscript, which generated a real frenzy among followers. Many young people, who tend to seek new perspectives on faith, were fascinated by the new narratives presented in the manuscript. This popularization led to the topic being debated on various platforms, from personal blogs to large YouTube channels. Reactions from the Christian community were mixed. Some members of the church felt threatened by the possibility that the new narrative could destabilize the faith of many. In contrast, others welcomed the discovery as a chance to expand understanding of Christ's resurrection. Discussions extended to theology forums and religious gatherings, where pastors and leaders began to address the manuscript's implications for their sermons and teachings. Furthermore, traditional media was not left out either. Newspapers and magazines dedicated special articles to the topic, exploring the possible theological and social implications of the discovery. Media coverage ranged from serious and in-depth analyses to sensationalism, depending on the editorial line of each vehicle. This diversity of approaches helped keep the issue on the agenda, further encouraging public discussion. In short, the discovery of the prohibited manuscript not only moved academia, but also reached the general public, generating intense debates and a new way of seeing the resurrection. How society reacts to this type of discovery could shape the future of theology and religious practice, revealing the importance of maintaining an open and inclusive dialogue on matters of faith. Acceptance or denial of the contents of the prohibited manuscript could have profound implications for the Church's historical narrative. If the book is accepted as a legitimate source of information, it could lead to a re-evaluation of several fundamental doctrines that the Church has held for centuries. On the other hand, its rejection can reinforce the traditional position and authority of religious institutions, but it can also result in discontent among the faithful who seek new interpretations. The Church, throughout its history, has faced challenges and questions regarding its doctrines, and the discovery of the manuscript could be seen as the most recent of these crises. The pressure to adapt to new information can lead to dialogue between different groups within the Church, resulting in changes in theological interpretations and, possibly, religious practices. This could open space for new currents of thought within Christianity, which seek a broader and more inclusive understanding of faith. The relationship between the Church and the faithful can also be affected. Many members of the Christian community are searching for a faith that makes sense in the contemporary world. Acceptance of the manuscript could provide a new foundation for spirituality, allowing more people to feel connected to their faith in a deeper and more personal way. On the other hand, rejection of the content can generate a feeling of alienation among those who identify with the new narrative. The historical implications extend beyond doctrine. How the Church handles this discovery could influence its public image and its ability to attract new members. A church that is open to dialogue and reviewing its beliefs can become more relevant to new generations, while a rigid stance can alienate those who seek a more dynamic spirituality. The discovery of the manuscript and its possible acceptance or rejection could become a catalyst for significant changes in the history of the Church. The way this issue will be handled can define the future of the institution and its relationship with the faithful in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. What if everything you know about Jesus' resurrection was about to change? What happens when we question the official narrative and delve into hidden texts? The book banned by the Vatican is not just a curiosity. It may be the key to understanding the true story behind the resurrection. Imagine a manuscript that reveals that after the crucifixion, Jesus met people we would never hear about in the traditional versions. Who were these characters? And what impact does this have on the faith of millions? Now think about the questions that arise. Why was this text censored? What else could be hidden in the shadows of history? These questions lead us to reflect on the very essence of belief and spirituality. The answers may be closer than we imagine, waiting to be discovered. What if the truth is more surprising than fiction? Are you ready to explore these hidden mysteries? Continue this journey with us, and together we will peel back the layers of what we really know about Jesus, the Vatican, and the secrets that change everything. After all, the search for truth never ends.